So this is Joshua Half of JTH Boxing, and today I'm not actually joined by anyone, which is it's surprising, ain't it? It is surprising. Basically, not gonna lie, I'm actually starting to struggle a little bit to find interviews. Not struggle, but it's trying to not find people. I don't know, getting people in contact. I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling to actually get in contact with people because there's only so many people that reply. So if there's any boxers out there watching and you want to, jump on, um. please let me know. Please just drop me a message because I do really want to. I love interviewing. Why do you think I upload fucking videos every day? But that's not the point. End of my mini sub story. Today I'm coming with a different approach. Today I'm actually want to talk about Joe Joyce. So back at literally the weekend just gone. By the way, there's no fucking script here. This is me waffling off the top of my head. So this could go anyway. But obviously back at the weekend, we saw Joe Joyce versus Zhilei Zhang at the Copper Box in London on BT Sport, and it was very different to what we all expected. We all expected Joe Joyce to start slow and then hit Zhang late. Joyce didn't make it late. His eye swelled up and he got stopped. Well, he got pulled out in the sixth by the ref and the doctor. Um, so obviously, as you can see on your screen, I've got Joe Joyce. Where does he go, and how does he get on against these names that I've got listed in the video? So I'm actually gonna, do a little bit of the YouTube stuff here. If you like what I'm about, make sure you subscribe. Come on, man, just do it. It's free, and leave a like as well. I'm not gonna actually put notifications on because I don't blame you. I don't really want to get notifications. I'm sure you don't, but just drop a subscribe. Unfollow my social pages. They are actually linked down below. I link them in most videos. I should do it in all of them, shouldn't I? But yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the names. So, oh, it's not switched. Bollocks. No, there we go. So yeah, to talk about it a bit more. Um, Obviously, as you can see there, you can see Joe Joyce. He looked a bit battered. Um, so first of all, I'm going to talk about the problem that Joyce faced, and the simple problem was he couldn't get away from Zhang's straight left, could he? He just couldn't get away from it. Every single shot that Joyce threw, Joyce would come in with three, four, five punches, and Zhang would come back with that straight left and catch him. Literally, you could see it going into the second, third round. His eye was getting fucked early. It wasn't good. It was not good. Um, one of the things I've been seeing is a lot of people now saying that Joyce isn't an elite heavyweight. Uh, my take on it, I think he's still up there. Even the greatest boxers have off nights. I'm not saying Joe Joyce is the greatest boxer. There's heavyweights out there that are better than him. You know, the ones that aren't listed in the video because there's no point in even talking about Joyce facing Fury or Usyk next because the names I've listed saying that some of them aren't realistic, but they're not the champions. I've included a lot of heavyweights, just not the champions. Um, but yeah, I think Joyce. Did the weight play a factor? So I think this would be a good type of video where I have someone else with me, but unfortunately, we don't have anyone with me. But that will change. We will have people. Yeah. I think Joyce just, like I said, he struggled. Like Zhang threw way less punches than him and still landed so many more power shots than him. I was looking up while making preparing this video, and Zhang threw like under 100 punches than what Joyce threw, and he landed so many more power shots, and you can see it in Joyce's face. I think the weight might have played a factor. I think also the sometimes you got to just sit there and look at the team and say, did we prepare hard enough? Um, Obviously, it was Joyce's first time facing the Southpaw as a professional. I'm fairly sure. I could be wrong on that. I'm sorry if I am. Um, but that's where you got to ask these questions. Did he do the rounds? I'm sure he put the work in. So he looked in phenomenal shape. But did he do the rounds with the Southpaws? Did he do his research on Zhang? Those are things that you got to look at. Another thing he needs to do is move his head. The man did not move his head at all. Just a little bit of rocking rolling, maybe. It might have done him a few favors, but at the end of the day, you can't change what's happened in the past, and it's all about how does he move forward now. Um, He's not got the time though to go back and rebuild like what Dubois did after Joyce beat Dubois. Joyce beat Dubois again the same way, just batter in the eye. Um, and obviously Joyce isn't a young man. Dubois is very young. Dubois has had time to go back and rebuild himself. And since then, he's fought Bogdan Dinu. Trevor Bryan, and then Kevin Lorena, not top level heavyweights. However, he's rebuilt himself and he's put himself in that world title position. Do I think Dubois should be there? I'm not going to comment on that. Um, I do think at the end of the day, though, the game's the game. Dubois got the mandatory challenge. He's the mandatory. While he's not beat the names, he's the mandatory. If you're going off how boxing works, mandatories have to get their shot, don't they? Obviously, a lot of people disagree with that. I'm a fan of Dubois getting the shot, but at the same time, it's a bit unfair on Joyce. Joyce beat Dubois, and then yet Dubois is ahead of him in the line. It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? But that's just boxing for you, and that's the sport that we all love. Um, yeah, like I said, there's no script, and I'm gonna ramble on, aren't I? I'm just gonna talk. But let's start talking different names. So the first name obviously is Zhang. We've got to look at Zhang, and you know that's a fight that's on the cards. There's the rematch clause. Joyce was, the champion going into the fight, so he's got the rematch clause, and the fight's there for the taking. A lot of people are saying Joyce should swerve the rematch. I don't think he should. I think Joyce could beat Zhang. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Zhang's no bum. Zhang is a top heavyweight. You know, a lot of people are saying Zhang's top five now. A lot of people had Joyce around that top five. Some had him top three. Zhang beat the man in the top five or top three. So that puts him in that conversation now. While he's 39, 40 in what, 2 weeks, it doesn't change the fact he's a top heavyweight. He is up there. Zhang is a really good fighter. But I do think at the same, I think Joyce could do it. I think all it is he needs to come out a bit quicker, maybe, which isn't something Joyce does. But if he comes out a bit quicker and that puts in the southpaw rounds, because he may well have put in the southpaw rounds, but it didn't look like it, to be honest. Um, so I think the Zhang rematch would be a good option. Whether it is in China or it is back in London or wherever, doesn't matter where it is. I think Joyce needs to rebuild and he doesn't need to go and step right back down. He needs to get back in there straight away with top heavyweights. And Zhang, it's the easiest one to make, realistically. It is the easiest fight to make. There's the rematch clause. Obviously, he's got to sit back with his team and look at other avenues he can go down. But you know, I think the Zhang rematch would be good, and I think if Joyce does put the southpaw rounds in and does his homework and gets his weight right, I do think it could be a different story. I really do. I might be one of the only people to say that, but I do think it'll be a different story. Next name is Dubois. I think a Dubois rematch it'd be good to see. The first time they fought, it was a close fight, wasn't it? It was a close fight. Um, whether the rematch is to be made or not, again, I'm doing a lot of talking about rematches here, but you know, Dubois is in a good position now. Like I said, Dubois rebuilt himself. He's put himself back in that position. You know, he's a mandatory. At the end of the day, while in the ranking wise and the people's rankings, Dubois is not ahead of Joyce. Man, realistically, and in the realistic scheme of things, Dubois is ahead. Dubois is the mandatory. He's mandatory to Usyk. He's Usyk's number one mandatory. That fight is literally in talks to get made for July. So I think obviously if Dubois gets past Usyk, then the world's his oyster. He can go for whatever he wants. But I do think a Joyce rematch, if it's not Usyk, I think a Joyce rematch for Dubois, I think it's good for both of them. 'Cause it's a fight for them to get for both of them to get up for. Dubois wants to right the wrong in losing to Joyce, and Joyce wants to get back to winning ways. It's perfect. It's a perfect storyline. Um, again, I might be one of the only people to say that. However, on the JTH Boxing YouTube channel, I speak my thoughts and my thoughts only. I'm not going to sit here and just agree with the people. I'm just going to go with what I'd like to see. I'm speaking from a fan perspective. And again, I might be one of the only fans to say they want to see a fucking rematch. But that's just me. I'm a big fan of Dubois. I'm a big fan of Joyce, and I'd like to see that fight. Next name, Otto Warren. Otto Warren's a very, I want to almost say slept on heavyweight. Um, you know, He's again no bum, no rollover. He's a very, very tough opponent. You know, I want to say he's only lost once or twice. Like I said, when I say I fucking planned this video last minute, I've not fully done my research. Um, However, I do know Wallin. Otto Wallin is a great fighter. You know, he's been there with Fury. He's been there and done the hard rounds. And again, he could be a terrific test for Joyce. He could be a terrific test. Do I think he'll get made? No. Moving on. Dillian White or Jermaine Franklin. And I think the Dillian White fight was the fight they were going to try and make. I didn't mean to fucking hit my desk there. Apologies. Um, the Dillian White fight would have been made if Joyce won. Dillian White was in attendance on Saturday night to fight the winner. Um, and the winner was Zhang. Does Zhang want the Dillian White fight? It wasn't a name he mentioned. The names that Zhang mentioned was Fury, Usyk. Done. Nothing else. Um, but domestic showdown, White versus Joyce. I think it'd be entertaining. I think I think the two styles would clash well. I think again, it's like most of Joyce's fights. I think White will take the fight early, but the later it goes, the more it plays into Joyce's favor because that's just how Joyce is. He's just different. Joyce is just a different fucking breed. Um, so the Dillian White fight's there, and Jermaine Franklin. I think Jermaine Franklin, despite the fact he's lost his last two, I think he's lost nothing realistically because the Dillian White fight was awfully close. And again, if I'm going to speak my views here, I do think it was close, but I think Franklin did nick it. I think Franklin should have won. And that's no disrespect to Dillian White. You know, Dillian is a top fighter. He's a brilliant fighter. You got to think you're not going to get a fucking fight with Fury as a mandatory just for being there. Dillian White's proved himself. I'm not saying anything bad about him at all. I'm just saying Jermaine Franklin was better on the night. Um, I think both of them. I think it'd be a terrific fight, wouldn't it? Both of them would make a good fight with Joyce. Um, how do I think they'd get on? I think honestly, Joe, what? I think Franklin would give Joyce a really tough fight. Look at the way that Franklin sat in there against AJ. He didn't. He, AJ hit him with his best punches, and Franklin didn't seem phased. And then Dillian White, I think Joyce beats White, and I think he beats him narrowly or stops him very late. But I think Dillian will be in there giving it all the way. Uh, I've not actually said who I think would win or lose in the first couple. So if we're looking at the Zhang rematch, uh, I don't really think you can say who'd win or lose that one. If we're talking on based off what we've seen, Gile Zhang again, but you never know what can happen. The Dubois rematch, I think, I think Joyce would nick it again, but I think we'd see a very. I was going to say we'd see a different Dubois, but then again, Dubois switched trainer to Shane McGuigan after the Joyce loss, and Dubois kind of looked the same as what he did before, just still letting the power go, stopping people early. So I think if Dubois gets away from Joyce's jab, it doesn't get hit by it as much as I'm not saying you're going to be able to completely avoid it. 'Cause that's just, pardon me, that's just impossible. But I still think there's a very good chance that if he just sorts a few things out and makes a few adjustments, he could avoid the jab and potentially get the win. However, based off what we've seen as of late, I'd go with a Joyce win again. I'd say Joyce points. I'd say points. Um, so then we've done these two. Otto Warning. I think Joyce would beat Otto Warning, but again, it wouldn't be. Long story short, none of these fights would be easy. None of them at all. Moving on, we've got Andy Ruiz. I think Andy Ruiz could be all wrong for Joyce. I'm putting it out there now. The hand speed, the small build. I do think Andy Ruiz could be all wrong for Joyce. Um, but at the same time, I do think it could also then that points play into Joyce's favour. Um, I think if Joyce again takes him late, tires him out, works the body, Joyce could get him. Joyce could. However, I think Andy Ruiz's inside game and the quick hands and letting the combos fly, I do think it could be a tough night for Joyce. And I'm going to go with a bold statement here. I think Andy Ruiz would beat him. I, call me delusional, call me stupid, call me whatever. Uh, but I think Andrew Reid's out of all the fighters I've listed so far, I think Andrew Reid's probably got the best chance. Um, Especially as I think all the opponents that I've listed so far, apart from Zhang, would be underdogs going into the fight with Joyce. And out of all the underdogs, I think Ruiz has the best chance of beating him. Um, I'm just going to step back a little bit and rephrase what I said. Um, while Ruiz could be all wrong for Joyce, I do again, Joyce, Joyce is a good fighter. He dedicates himself to this sport like every other fucking boxer. I don't know why I said that, but you know what I mean. Um, and yeah, Joyce could beat him as well. It's one of those ones. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. We could see a draw. Uh, I think if we're looking at it from now, based off what we've last seen, I'll base my predictions based off their most recent performances, and based off most recent performances, I'm gonna have to say Andy Ruiz, um, because Joyce just didn't look great last time. However, peak performance, uh, I think Joyce's chin can take the shots. I think it can take shots anyway. I'm going to touch on Joyce's chin a little bit later on, when we have one of the other names who appears on the list. Um, Not quite yet, but we'll see later on. But moving on to the next one. Um, this is the man I was looking for, Deontay Wilder. Now, a lot of people said they wanted to see Joyce versus Wilder, to see the battle of the chin and the battle of the power. However, Saturday against Zhang was the first time we've seen Joyce properly hurt by a punch. We actually saw him step back and his legs weren't necessarily fully under him. And that's the first time we've seen that. And as from Zhang's power, now Zhang's a natural heavy hitter, whereas Wilder is just explosive raw power. And I'm gonna say it, I think Wilder knocks him out. Anyone can get knocked out. No one's a superhuman. As fucking tough as Joyce can seem, and what he has been in every single fight, and even Saturday, he still didn't get dropped, did he? He got phased by those couple punches, but overall, he still took the punch and he still kept coming. You know, but Wilder's power was frightening, man. Look at the way he dropped Fury. Fury did get back up, but Fury was out. He was out for a period of time. You can't just sit there and think Joyce will just walk onto those punches. Look at what fucking Wilder did with a punch. So we're gonna get a bit of boxing from Josh here. The punch, it should go straight out. Tell me how Wilder's gone like that, just not even had to straighten his arm, and he slept Helen like Helene. Look, just look at the screen. You can see it there. Enough said. Moving on to AJ. Now, I think this is the most interesting of the two. AJ still doesn't look his old self, and I think now you got to sit here and say with AJ, the past is the past. We're never going to see that old AJ again. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, the old AJ hadn't tasted those big punches, hadn't tasted knockout defeats, hadn't tasted split decision or unanimous decision losses against Usyk. The old AJ was fearless, had no worries. The old AJ would get in the ring and think, I'm going to take this man. AJ gets in the ring now and he wants to be a bit smarter. And you can't fault him for that. At the end of the day, he's a smarter boxer. Might work in his favor, it might not. It has worked. We saw it work against Jermaine Franklin. However, it didn't work against the likes of Usyk. But that's just where the game plan's gone wrong. I reckon the old AJ against Usyk, I reckon he still would have struggled. But at the same time, Usyk's crafty, isn't he? Usyk's a crafty little fucker. Um, yeah, back to the point. I think based off what we've seen as of late from both men, oh, this is a tough one to call. I can't honestly, I can't split them apart. I cannot split them apart. Really, I can't. I'm gonna go AJ. No, oh no. Mm, I can't split it. I'm not gonna. I'll let you boys and girls and whatever in the comments just debate out, man. Debate. Who do you think would win out of these two? Let me know. Let me know. And then I think that's the last one. Yeah. So those are the names I've listed. There's another name that I thought of while filming, Hergovich. Hergovich did beat Zhang. However, he didn't actually beat Zhang. Like he beat him on the cards, but if you watch the fight, Hergovic did not win that. Um, I think Joyce would beat Herg. I don't know. Hergovic wasn't the same in that night though. You got to think his dad had just died. You know, you're never going to be in the same mindset when your dad's just passed away. Um, I think again, I think it's a really. I think all these fights I've put on here are very tough fights, they're very close fights. I'm not trying to claim to be some fucking magical matchmaker because anyone could have said those fights. Um, Out of all the fights, the most likely one I think is next. I think it out of all those names, I think it's the Zhang rematch because it's the easiest to make. Um, but the fight I'd like to see most next, the fight I'd like to see, the fight I'd like to see next is the Zhang rematch. I'd like to see if Joyce can right his wrong straight away. Um, if it's not Zhang, I'd like to see Jermaine Franklin. I think Jermaine Franklin's flying, even though he's lost his last two. I think mentally he's flying. His life's changed in the last year. He went from working in a factory to boxing and headlining in London back to back. That aren't fair play to the man. So I'd like to see Joyce Franklin, um, but who knows? I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So if you've enjoyed this video, uh, please leave a like. This is it's something new. Normally you see me sit back and take the back seat and watch, let people talk. But this time I've switched it up and I'm going to get in there a little bit more. So yeah, if you've enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, uh, subscribe, and I hope if you enjoyed this type of video, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to see more of these, give me some ideas of what you'd like to see me talk about next, and I'll do it. But that is all for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I need to end this recording. Adios, people.